Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis, and today we are going to continue our look at actors after taking an unscheduled holiday break last week. A couple of weeks ago, I started this actor kick by posting a video about the 10 actors that I just cannot stand. But for the next few weeks, I'm going to talk about actors that I like. Now, when I started thinking about doing this, um, several weeks ago, I started thinking, "Ooh, I should post a video about actors that I like." I started keeping a list on my phone, right on the notepad on my phone, and every time I thought of an actor that I really like, really like, I'd jot that name down. Talk with friends, and if they would suggest actors, oh yeah, and I'd jot that name down. And I was just jotting names down for, like I said, several weeks. And then earlier this week, I started thinking, okay, it's time. I need to, I need to start working this list of names into some kind of order. And when I checked, because I hadn't been keeping tabs of the whole list, when I finally checked, I had over 90 names on this list, and I thought, ah, shit, it's going to take me forever to do this. And as I started walking through those names, I realized that they separated rather naturally into three distinct groups. So I'm going to do three videos this week and then the next 2 weeks where I talk about each of these three groups. My first group, what I'm dealing with today, are what I think of as the conventional choices. If you ask people, if you look up, the American Film Institute's 100 greatest actors, that kind of thing, you're going to see these names. These are folks that most people think of as good actors. Everybody on this list has been nominated for Academy Awards. 9 of the 10 have won Academy Awards. So if you're getting Academy Award nominations and wins, yeah, everybody everybody agrees you're a good actor, right? The second group that I'll be dealing with next week are the ones that I like that are not quite so conventional. These are folks, they weren't necessarily nominated for awards, or if they did, it was seen as a fluke. These are names that some of them would come up frequently when friends would say, oh yeah, I hate that actor, but I actually really like that actor, right? So next week, it's going to be my surprises, the unconventional choices, the actors that I think are really good, and I think I'm in the minority for thinking that. My third group I call the signs of quality. These are the actors that if I know that they're in the cast, that alone is going to make me want to watch it. The they may be, I mean, bit roles, at best character roles that are in maybe a quarter of the movies, something like that. But they're still, their presence elevates the whole thing as far as I'm concerned, and I am gravitating towards work that features these actors simply because they're there. Okay? So today, conventional choices. Next week, unconventional choices. And then the week after, signs of quality. Cool? Cool. Before we get into any of this, though, we need to talk about the subjectivity notice. We firmly believe here at Papa Nick's Music that there's no such thing as objectively good or objectively bad art. There is only art that I like and art that I do not. And as long as we keep that in mind, this is a wonderful conversation. It's entertaining, for some of us. It's informative. It's our ability to see the world from somebody else's perspective. And I would argue that's always a good thing. The conversation, though, goes right off the rails as soon as somebody in that conversation insists on being seen as objectively right. So just know I'm not making objective claims here, and I would appreciate it if you would refrain from using objective framing language if you decide to drop a comment down below. Cool? Cool. Okay, here we go. These are my top 10 conventional choices for actors. Take a quick drink. This is an early in the day record, so this week Papa Nick's Music is unofficially sponsored by coffee. Coffee. Inside joke for my friend Macy if you're watching. Coming in at number 10, my number 10 actor won one Oscar. He got an Oscar for his supporting role in A Fish Called Wanda, and that is Kevin Kline. I love Kevin Kline. I loved him in A Fish Called Wanda. I thought that was a brilliant movie. But I really loved him in The January Man, which was overall a relatively crappy movie, but I thought he did a wonderful job in it. In and Out was a very good movie, but if I had to pick one movie that I would look at and say, that's why I like Kevin Kline, it would be Silverado. He carries that movie as far as I'm concerned. Love Kevin Kline, my number 10 actor. My number 9 actor, going back a few years, is Joan Crawford. I love Joan Crawford. She won an Oscar for Mildred Pierce. She was nominated for Possessed and Sudden Fear. But if I'm pointing to movies that I've seen her in, and that's like, okay, that's why I think she belongs on my top 10 list, I would Sudden Fear. Oh man, is that a good movie? Jack Palance. Oh, lovely movie. But I would also point to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I think Bette Davis gets a lot of the credit for how good that movie is. No, it's Joan Crawford that makes that a good movie. I don't mind stirring up some shit with the Bette Davis fans in the world. Spoiler alert, Bette Davis is not on my list. Coming in at number 8, Helen Mirren. I love Helen Mirren. She won an Oscar for her role in The Queen. She was nominated, and yes, I'm reading this straight off my notes, for The Madness of King George, Gosford Park, and The Last Station. If I am pointing to things that I've seen her in that I think this is why I like Helen Mirren as much as I do, yeah, I liked Gosford Park a lot. I thought that was a good movie. But I would point to her work in the British television show Prime Suspect. Oh my God. As well as her supporting role in the action-adventure movie Red. Bruce Willis movie that's, I think, highly underrated as action movies go. And she just, oh, she's fantastic. A wonderful cast in Red. I really like that movie. So number 8, Helen Mirren. My number 7, won 2 Oscars, was nominated for 3 others. He won Oscars for The French Connection and Unforgiven. He was nominated for Bonnie and Clyde, I Never Sang for My Father, and Mississippi Burning. Yes, we're talking about Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman is one of those actors that even if I don't like the movie, I still like watching him in it. He elevates every project that he's in. If I'm going to point to 2 of my particularly favorite movies, particularly favorite, can I say that? That Gene Hackman is elevating. One of them would be Crimson Tide, one of my favorite submarine movies, and I do love me a good submarine movie. The other would be Narrow Margin, a throwaway 80s action movie that I just loved at the time and still love it. I think it's a wonderful movie. So my number 7 actor, Gene Hackman. My number 6 actor, Julie Andrews. Oh my God, do I love Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews, excuse me, won an Oscar for Mary Poppins, was nominated for The Sound of Music and Victor Victoria. If I'm picking a movie, though, that I want you to see because this is the Julie Andrews that I love, I'm going to pick one of 2 movies for you. One is The Americanization of Emily. I adore this movie. And the other is Blake Edwards' S.O.B. Oh my God. S.O.B. is a wonderful movie. And you get to see her topless. Woohoo! But my number 6, Julie Andrews. My number 5 actor. A relatively recent addition to my list of favorite actors. I've been aware of this guy for a good long time, and I've known that he was good. I've known that he elevates projects, but I wouldn't have thought of him as being among my favorite actors until here within the past few years. My number 5 actor is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman won an Oscar for Darkest Hour. He was nominated for Mank and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And if I'm including the stuff that I really like seeing him in, okay, first off, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Gary Oldman was the only thing in that movie that I liked. Everything else in that movie was crap with a capital K. But I loved Gary Oldman's performance as Dracula. I would include Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That was good. I liked that. But I'm really putting him on this list because of his performance as Jackson Lamb in the Apple TV series Slow Horses. Oh my goodness. Does he do a good job on that show? So, my number 5 actor, Gary Oldman. At number 4, again, we're going back a few years. At number 4, we've got James Stewart. James Stewart won an Oscar for The Philadelphia Story. He was nominated for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It's a Wonderful Life, Harvey, and Anatomy of a Murder. And those 5 movies together, masterclass in acting there, as far as I'm concerned. If we wanted to add to it, I would add Rear Window. Oh my God, is he good at Rear Window? Vertigo, I'm iffy on. Rope is good. The Man Who Knew Too Much, I mean, he worked really well with Alfred Hitchcock. I really like James Stewart. James Stewart is one of the more effortless actors that I can think of. He makes it. I don't think he gets credit for being as good of an actor as he is because he makes it look easy. He makes it look like he's just being himself. And he's not. You look at these roles, they're all very different people. He is immersing himself in these roles. But it just seems like he's just throwing it off. The really good ones can make it look easy. So, number 4, James Stewart. And while we're talking about making it look easy, number 3 on my list is the only entry on my top 10 that didn't win an Academy Award. He was nominated once. Should have been nominated at least a couple other times, but we won't get into that. My number 3 is one of my traditional favorite actors, James Garner. Oh my God. Everything I just said about James Stewart applies equally well to James Garner. I think that a lot of people downplay his work because they see him just being himself, and he's not just being himself. He has a variety. He can play comedy, he can play drama, he can play the guy who hopes he doesn't get the shit kicked out of him in an action movie, and he can play the shit kicking guy in an action movie. There are very few actors who can pull off both sides of that. James Garner can do it. He got his Oscar nomination for Murphy's Romance, which I think is a wonderful movie. I love his performance in that. He should have gotten an Oscar nomination for his performance in Victor Victoria. He was the only member of the top 3 that didn't get a nomination, and it was a shame. But, hey, throw a dart. He's going to be fantastic. I watched just earlier this week a Western that he made, I want to say late 60s. Yeah, somewhere in there. With Sidney Poitier. It's called Duel at Diablo, and this is not a good movie. Not a bad movie. It's just it's a popcorn eating Saturday afternoon matinee shoot 'em up. But he's fantastic in it. Oh man, everything. I have never been disappointed by a James Garner performance. So my number 3 actor, James Garner. Now, when it comes to my top 2. When it comes to my top 2, this is a virtual tie here. It's going to be which of the 2 I pick on any given day is going to be based on what I've been watching recently. And over the last month or so, I've been watching a lot more movies that feature one of these over the other. So that one is going to get number 1. The other one is going to get number 2. This time next year, I might be watching more movies that feature number 2. So number 2 ends up being in the number 1 spot, right? It's the most recent exposure in terms of how fresh they are, how vivid they are in my mind. My number 2 actor, I think, brilliant. I mean, brilliant actor. Was nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies, for Oscars for 8 movies. Won 1, 2, 3, 4 Oscars. Oh my God. Of course, we're talking Katharine Hepburn. I adore Katharine Hepburn. She won her Oscars for Morning Glory, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, The Lion in Winter, and On Golden Pond. She was nominated for Alice Adams' The Philadelphia Story with James Stewart, Woman of the Year, The African Queen, which is on my top 10 all-time favorite movies, Summertime, The Rainmaker, Suddenly Last Summer, and Long Day's Journey into Night. One of the things I love about Katharine Hepburn is, as I've been talking about for the last few, she can play a wide variety of different characters seemingly effortlessly. She does the ditzy socialite in Bringing Up Baby. Oh my God, do I love that movie. She plays... Compare her character in Bringing Up Baby with her character in The African Queen or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Oh my God, it's not just that they're different people. They're like polar opposite people. It's amazing the breadth that she has in terms of what she can do. Huge fan of Katharine Hepburn. And I think probably most of the time you ask me who's my favorite actor, who do I think is the best actor I've ever seen, Katharine Hepburn's gonna get that most of the time. But here lately I've been watching a lot of movies that feature my number one actor, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington won 2 Oscars for Glory and Training Day. He was nominated for Cry Freedom, Malcolm X, The Hurricane, Flight, Fences, Roman J. Israel, Esquire, and The Tragedy of Macbeth. I loved him of all of those movies. Flight. Oh man. Oh, that was a fantastic performance. But Crimson Tide, right? I mean, I was talking to Gene Hackman earlier. It's one of my favorite submarine movies, and we've got 2 of my favorite actors just sparring with one another all the way through that thing. We've got any movie that he's made with Antoine Fuqua. Oh my God, do they work well together. I love his Equalizer movies because I like that sort of movie. I've rewatched for like the 4th and 5th time just here in the last couple of weeks their remake of The Magnificent Seven, which I adore, even though it's got Chris Pratt in it, who gets on my nerves. I have been a fan of Denzel Washington since the first episode I saw of the old hospital drama Saint Elsewhere. He was one of the ensemble cast for that show. This started, fall of 81, fall of 82, something like that. And I thought at the time, watching that first season, that he was underused. He should have been much more prominent in the storylines than he was. He shortly after St. Elsewhere started and he got a little bit of fame under his belt, he made a movie with George Segal called Carbon Copy. Again, not a great movie. I watched it mostly because it was George Segal, and I'm a huge George Segal fan. But Denzel Washington carried that movie. Every movie he's in, he carries it. I love Denzel Washington. And this week at least, he's my number 1 favorite actor. And those are my top 10 conventional choices. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Drop that comment down below. I always love hearing from you. What are the conventional actors that you think I should have had on this list that I didn't? I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the like button. While you're down there clicking, if you haven't already done so, I'd appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I very much appreciate it. And that's it for this week. I'll see you next week when we're talking about actors who are maybe not quite as conventional choices, but I think are fantastic and in most cases every bit as good as the ones I have on this list. I don't know that I have any that are on par with Katharine Hepburn and Denzel next week, but, you know, we'll see. I'll look at that list again. In the meantime, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope that the rest of your day is uneventful. See you soon.